At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Welcome to the Author Brand Show. We're going to want to take notes because I got a great guest today, like I always do. But my gosh, very excited to have this woman on. She is an award-winning writer, speaker, entrepreneur who started her to grow her own business for the past 15 years. And she's recently grown her outsourcing company from 0 to 7 figures in a year and didn't do anything on advertising, right? No ad spend, just organic structure. As a seasoned entrepreneur and investor, thought leader, she devotes her days helping business owners live a life by design through intention and outsourcing. Not like the work is not working you, you're working the work, right? I'll let her explain that. So she lives in Playa del Carmen, Mexico with her husband, Alex Booth. Welcome to the show. Karla Singson, how are you doing today?
Hey, Doug. Super nice to be here. I'm feeling very good, and I'm so excited to catch up. I know we've been friends forever. We've chatted here and there, and it's always nice to have these conversations. It reminds me why I love this game. I love being in business. There's lots of amazing people to learn from, and I'm excited to share to your community and your listeners.
Thank you so much. We're going to get to your background, and I also want to give people a reason to stick around today. What's the one thing about outsourcing that people don't realize that you could share today?
Yeah, thank you for that. So one of the things I'm really passionate about that I would really love the business community to know is that most people, most business owners are super not taking advantage of outsourcing in the way that they should. And that is hiring managerial teams and specialists from countries like the Philippines, even Latin America, Estonia, Bulgaria is also South Africa. All of these countries are also on the up and up now. Obviously, I'm biased towards the Philippines. My business is there. I'm Filipina, and we're one of the best English speakers in the world. So it's easy for us to integrate to any culture and to the language of most of the fast growth companies in North America. So I'd love to share about that.
We're going to get to that. There's some definite advantages there. You know my story as well, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah. Of course, we're going to talk about the benefits of that. Before we do, I want to talk about your background, how you get involved as an entrepreneur. So what was it like? You grew up in the Philippines, is that right?
Yeah, I did. It's great. I always say that one of the biggest privileges I have is growing up in that culture. Asian culture is very known for achievement, right?
Yeah.
But also Philippines probably being the only Catholic country, Christian country in that side of the world, Southeast Asia. Right. The other side to our culture is that women are also kind of led to, or we are raised to also have the honor, like to believe that it's a great honor to be a wife and a mother and to continue nurturing a home. Mm-hmm. And I think with that great mix of achievement, but also receiving the honor of, serving your husband and honoring his leadership in the household, especially now when there's so many different schools of thought with regards to what our roles should be. Yeah. I feel very lucky because it just really fits into the life that I want now. Right. Aside from that, our education is very Americanized. Like we follow the grading system and the school system of the States. So it's easy for us to integrate to like any job in most places in the world. Growing up and starting my business there was, I would say, I wouldn't call it easy, but I just made it happen because I grew up poor, and growing up poor in a poor country is different than growing up poor in a developed country. So my first business was a flower shop, and I still have the business. I love it. I've grown it as a franchise in 2017. We now have 13 locations, and I basically just sat with myself and thought, what is a product that people overpay for and are okay with it. You
Right.
know this as a man.
Yeah,
One of
I
the
always
things
try to
is flowers.
celebrate Mother's Day a day later, versus that day it's like double the prices,
You're
right?
smart. You're smart. So you're giving your mom Mother's Day gift on a different time zone.
Well, it was a joke. She's no longer with us, but yeah, it's funny you mentioned the entrepreneur thing because as you know, we do have a lot of our own teammates in the Philippines, and they're
Yeah,
wonderful people. But I know a lot of folks they really love their job. There's not as much of an entrepreneurial spirit there, I
yeah.
think, as other countries. So how did you get involved as being an entrepreneur? Because it's not as common there as it is here.
That's true. That's true. To be honest, I think it had a lot to do with my personal experience. My
Hmm.
both of my parents were entrepreneurial. My dad had one job all of his life,
Yeah.
and my mom was bouncing um, among different sales roles. She used to sell like Avon, Tupperware, Sara Lee, and then she started selling appliances, and then she eventually went to real estate. So she's always loved sales.
Hmm.
So it was a great plan. My dad had a stable job, and whenever we need a little bit more money, my mom would just be selling something. So
Right.
I was exposed to hustle. But
Hmm.
unfortunately, my parents passed away in my early 20s. My dad passed away in my early 20s, and my
Hmm.
mom passed away in my late 20s. And as the eldest child, one potent part of our culture is that you are now like the parent, and you have to support your siblings, and you have to make the money. And so my personal experience was there was no way I would be able to pay $60,000 worth of debt when my dad passed away. These are hospital bills,
Yeah.
and there was no way I would pay that with a job in the
Hmm.
Philippines. So I had to be creative. So
Okay.
my back was pushed against the wall, basically.
Yeah. Oh wow. So more of a by necessity than by desire. It sounds like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it also is like a risk taking thing, right?
Hmm.
I think that's also really one thing that separates entrepreneurs from employees. And
Hmm.
most people are employees for a reason. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
illusion of security. I think is probably the biggest one.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is a need. Everyone needs security.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a core human need. So you got involved with the flower shops. You started doing more. You had 12 of them.
Yeah, we have 13 locations. It's franchise locations, so I don't own them,
Yeah.
but we help build them up. We are their dealers, basically. Not for flowers because I don't own a farm, but someday. But we supply some of their dry goods, like the teddy bears and some of the other, like the mugs
Got
and
it.
things like that.
Okay.
I also have an events company in the Philippines that I started because one of my side gigs was an MC. And how I really started with the online business, honestly, was just when I started to travel. And I realized that there's a big world out there.
Yeah. Right. We're going to get to your outsourcing thing in a moment. Before we do, I'm curious about your trajectory, and you mentioned about growing up poor. And my wife is also Filipino, so I understand
Mm.
the difference of poverty there is not
Ah,
experienced here. I mean, what can you describe what it was like when you're growing up?
yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So in the Philippines, most families will save up all of their money, or the most parents will save up their money or take extra gigs, try to make extra money to
Hmm.
really do everything so they can send their kids to private school.
Right. Hmm.
And private school doesn't have the reputation as it has in the States. In
Right.
the States, if you go to private school, you're rich, right?
Hmm.
And then everyone else just kind of goes to public school.
Yeah.
And even if you're middle class, you still go to public school
Hmm.
mostly. In the Philippines, a lot of like even lower middle class people, which I would think was what we were, lower middle class to honestly poor, that we were right there. I've had so many memories in my
Hmm.
childhood, and I'm now just realizing, oh wow, we're poor. We were poor. Like
Yeah. At the
one
time,
of
you didn't
my
know it. It's like, oh yeah,
you don't know, it's just
Mhm.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so I have had a few like vivid memories. One of my big aha moments was every Sunday my mom and dad would make a big deal out of making eating ramen for lunch or
Yeah.
something like that,
Right.
like the ramen, the cheap ramen,
Yeah.
one of the cheapest foods you can buy.
Mm-hmm.
But they made like a big deal out of it as if it was like a treat or something.
Yeah.
But and then so I have this memory. We would eat that on the weekends, and then my parents would karaoke for hours. And I'm not kidding, hours. So yeah, so I know all of these 80s songs and I know all of the Eagles songs. I know all of the Bee Gees songs and all of the duets. So I know all of those songs because my parents, I have this memory of them karaokeing, and that was a happy afternoon. That was a happy weekend for us. So
Nice.
that's one thing. And then going to private school, people really invest in it, and I was very lucky to have that privilege. It was a like a cheap private school, one of the cheaper ends for sure. I didn't go to the best ones, but in the Philippines, if you go to a private school, it's almost like you have like a way better chance of getting a better job.
Right.
So
Very good.
yeah, those were some of like my memories.
Nice. Okay. Well, I know you've got some special gifts for our listeners today about outsourcing. When I get to those in a minute, I want to hear about how you got involved with proximity outsourcing, and one of the things that you guys do that's unique as an outsourcing company.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when I started traveling in 2016, I realized that there was like a big world out there. And both of my businesses, the flower shop and the events company, were traditional brick and mortar businesses.
Right.
And like literally my events company, I had to move to a bigger office because I was always buying things like couches and tents and fans. And, and there was a time I was going to invest in car rental. I was just going to start a car rental company. I'm like, I'm just acquiring more and more space. And the more space I acquire, the more I get tied to this location. And I realized I didn't want that anymore. Yeah. So I started traveling, and I started to go to international conferences as a writer. I was a copywriter for a very long time. And I would meet people in these conferences, and when they find out that I'm Filipina, the first thing they always ask me is, can you help me find a VA or a virtual assistant?
Right.
And I would say, oh, that's not what I do. But they would just say, but you're Filipina. Maybe you have a few friends or something. So I helped a few friends of mine, and that's how my company started. So my company started out as Proximity Placements. I still have that. It's a recruitment company now. It's a recruitment agency. Yeah. And we started as a VA recruitment agency. So in 2020, and then I kept this business on the side. It made like $20,000 for many years, just as a side gig. And then in 2020, when the pandemic happened, my physical businesses had to close. And there was a general feeling in the world of, we don't know what's going to happen next. Yeah. So I had to put all in my outsourcing company. And thankfully, I had an investor who put some money in my business. We created a new brand, and then we really built the outsourcing company that I wanted to build in my head, that I couldn't because I didn't have money. And we were able to grow from $0 to $1 million in a year without spending anything on ads. So now we do managed outsourcing at Proximity, and we focus on helping fast growth online businesses scale by plugging in fully independent remote teams, managers, creatives like editors, designers, and writers, and all of those things.
Right. I love it. One of the key things I'm picking up on this, because a lot of people, you talk about outsourcing, and of course that's a very hot topic. It always will be. But you use the word managerial. And I think one of the things that I'm seeing with a lot of clients in our world is like, yeah, they may need this and that and that. But once you have more than one, number one, there's never a unicorn. There's never one person that can do it all. So you probably need more than one person. Yeah. But how do you coordinate that and the time zone thing? So you talked about managerial services. So sometimes you'll actually focus on the project itself. Tell me how that works with managerial services.
Yeah, absolutely. So we start with role consulting. We realize the more I am in outsourcing and the more clients I talk to, and I do not stop talking to clients all the time. Even if I have a sales team, I still get on sales calls because that's how we get better. I have to talk to my customers all the time. I'm just gathering these things that are kind of the reasons why they fail when they outsource.
Yeah.
And one of that is definitely what you mentioned, like unreasonable expectations, expecting too much from one person, when what they should be doing is looking for specialists. So one example, this is very common. Hey, Karla, I need a VA who can do my social media, can write emails and edit my videos and also manage my community.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
More people right there.
okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you need a unicorn or an agency, and I can't help you. So so we start with role consulting, talking to the clients and really giving them like a clear sense of like expectation and a reason why this is the better way to go. In terms of specialists and specialization, the VA industry in the Philippines has been around forever, for probably like 2 decades. And a lot of these VAs, they don't stay as VAs. They eventually specialize, they get better at whatever it is that they do. And they also have their personal desire to upskill. And so we catch them in that moment and we give them a better offer. I would argue we have some of the best benefits in the market. And how we help these business owners is that we really understand what they need in their business, and then we give our recommendation on what they need. Right. And I'm going to share our top 3. Like most of the time, these are the roles that they need. One is a project manager. They are not happy with a VA anymore because they don't have enough initiative. They have an assistant mindset and they're a doer, and they don't work well collaborating, asking people for stuff. So they need a project manager, and then things just don't get done and they get frustrated. Number 2 is client success manager. So lots of B2B companies now really care about retention, loyalty, and increasing their LTV, taking care of their customers, being a memorable supplier. The attitude of Filipinos being super happy to help. You know this, Doug. It's our great honor to like help, right? That's why we make great nurses and wives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not a desire. It's like it's in the DNA.
It's in our DNA. We love, like, that's where our pride comes from. Like, if you tell me, Karla, you were the one who helped me do this. Thank you for your help. Oh, that's such music to my ears.
That's right.
So that's just part of our culture. That's why I will always argue that instead of making Filipinos customer support people who will answer tickets and all that, I totally believe we make great client success managers, because it's just in our hearts to really care about the people that we're serving. And what better role can that really be for your business? And CSMs can make businesses a lot of money too, by improving retention, referrals, even building affiliate programs within your clientele. So we've seen this happen. And number 3 role is any creative role. Designers, writers, video editors, short form video editors. So that's very common now as well.
Right. What's the biggest mistake you see people, other than the expectation one, which I mentioned already? What other mistakes do people make when they consider this?
Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes that they experience, or that I see my clients do, is even if they know the job and they know the role and they hire the right person, they don't know how to onboard. So they are not prepared with the right SOPs, the right templates. They're scrambling. They don't know how to share access. It's funny. Some people still don't know how to do these things. Yeah. There are people who do not know how to create a good feedback loop. People who don't know how to create success metrics. And I'm not like shaming these people. These are very normal, because most founders, our main problem is, where is the money to make money, find these clients, right? We don't think about these things every day. It's just not part of what we think about, or the greatest incentive doesn't come from there, right? The greatest incentive is finding a client, getting money. Yeah. So it's very normal to not be good at onboarding. And that's why, even if it's not us, it's not proximity outsourcing, I would still recommend going with a managed outsourcing company. If you're not good at onboarding, instead of going to Upwork or Fiverr or online jobs or wherever you get your team, because there's just so much more risk. You're going to frustrate your VA or your project manager. You're going to frustrate them as well.
I'm nodding my head over and over again because when I got started with this, it was hit and miss, hit and miss, hit and miss. And you know, funny story. I think I've told you before, but my very first VA I hired did a project, completed it. This is I think it was off of Upwork or something. Second project, finished it. Third one, I gave it to him, disappeared, ghosted me for months. I'm like, what happened to this guy? I don't understand. And he pops up in my feed some other time. Hey, what happened? He goes, oh, I was so embarrassed I couldn't do that tasks. Yeah, why don't you tell me that? Oh, I'm just embarrassed. So he just stayed it away. I said, so you can't do something, so you just quit? And I said, listen, I understand a little bit of the Asian culture. I'm getting better now about, you know, the mindset of embarrassment versus, you know, Americans. I said, I'll tell you what, I will spend some time. I will learn more about your culture as long as you do the same and learn about mine.
Yeah. Aww.
And now he's been with me for like 12 years.
Oh my God, I love that.
He's just great. And he does great work for, you know, web design, back end, office stuff. He's brilliant at putting website together, knows SEO, everything. He's really, really good. But I had to understand what it's like. And of course, you know, now I've, you know, got a wife who's Filipino, so I know a lot more. And she's done wonders with upskilling our team and cross training them on things. It's been really helpful. So anybody who's looking to expand their business and get some outsourcing help, Karla is a great resource for that. Your website is proximityoutsourcing.com, yes?
Yes, proximityoutsourcing.com.
And you've got some free stuff for us today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a super special gift for all of the listeners of the Author Your Brand show. Just go to proximityoutsourcing.com/vault. We have resources there, AI resources to design the life that you want. If you are the kind of entrepreneur who likes to travel and be location independent, there's some resources there as well. Free tools to help build your business. So this is also one thing that we help our clients with when they onboard people. We look at their tech stack, we look at whatever they're using, and we give advice. And that's an ongoing support as long as your subscription is active. You're not doing this all on your own. And you also just drop your email, and we're going to send you also a $500 voucher, which is over 50% discount for the onboarding. Just mention the Author Your Brand show, or if you're a friend of Doug or a stalker, then just mention that, and we'll take care of you. And also, I want to share that we have a full guarantee for all of our placements. All of our placements will have a rehire, an automatic rehire, or a full refund if you're not happy with the candidates that you get. It doesn't matter how much work my team has put in it. What really matters to us is your experience. Wow. I love the integrity, Karla. Thank you so much for being on the show today. proximityoutsourcing.com/vault for your free gift. Take a look at that, Karla. Thank you so much. Any parting words of wisdom for people looking to outsource here? Yeah, well, for people looking to outsource, I just want to say the world is so big. There's so much opportunity going outside of, you know, your country. And of course, like, let's face it, the economy right now is giving me more and more anxiety, honestly. So expanding your options is now needed more than ever. And, you know, be open, be reasonable, and just really communicate your needs to your service provider. If that is us, I'm super happy to help. But if not, I hope that you really find the team that you want so that your team can grow. And it probably doesn't even cost as much as you think it would. So just check us out, check out all your other options, and learn about outsourcing. And it's going to be, it's just going to be all positives, and you'll have more options to grow your company. Outstanding. Thank you so much for being on the show today, folks. proximityoutsourcing.com/vault. Check it out. Karla, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thanks, Doug. Thanks as well. Bye.